Okay, so are we alone in the universe? It's
Yeah.
like the biggest question out there, right? I mean, you look up at the night sky and can't help but wonder.
And for centuries, it was pure speculation. But now we've got a tool to at least try to tackle that question.
Wait, really? Like an actual equation that tells us if there are aliens out there?
Not quite. It's called the Drake equation, and it's more about framing the discussion, thinking about the probability.
Okay, so not a magic formula that spits out a number, but a way to kind of break down the problem.
Exactly. A way to organize our thoughts about what it would take for another intelligent communicating civilization to exist.
Makes sense. Instead of just aliens exist or they don't, we get to explore the how likely is it?
Right. And to do that, we look at different factors. Each factor is a variable in the equation.
Welcome to Cosmos in a Pod, Space and Astronomy series. All right, lay it on me. What are these variables, these ingredients in the recipe for alien life?
Well, first, we got to start with stars, specifically the rate of star formation in our galaxy. We represent that with R.
So, like, how many new stars are popping up each year? Because new stars mean new planets, right? Maybe some with life.
Exactly. And the current estimates suggest it's about 1 to 3 new stars per year in the Milky Way.
Wow, okay, so that's a lot of potential new solar systems forming out there. What's next?
Next, we consider FP. That's the fraction of those stars that actually have planets orbiting them.
So, out of all those brand new stars, how many have a planetary posse?
Turns out planets might be more common than we thought. Missions like Kepler have shown us that planets seem to be the rule, not the exception. So FP is likely close to 1, meaning almost every star probably has at least one planet.
Hold on, you're telling me there could be billions of planets just in our galaxy alone?
Mm-hmm.
My mind is blown. But not every planet can support life, right? Got to be in the right spot.
You got it. That brings us to Ne, which is the average number of habitable planets per star system.
Ah, the Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, not too cold, just right for liquid water and all that.
Precisely. But figuring out how many planets are actually in those habitable zones, well, that's tricky. Estimates range from zero point 0.1 to 1 habitable planet per star.
Okay, so even with billions of planets, only a fraction might be suitable for life as we know it. But let's say we do have a planet with the right conditions. What are the chances life actually starts there?
That's where full comes in. The fraction of those habitable planets where life actually arises. And this is one of the biggest unknowns in the whole equation.
Yeah, I can see why. Going from non-living stuff to even the simplest life form, that's a huge jump.
Right. We only have Earth as an example, and we still don't fully understand how life began here. So applying that to other planets is tough.
So life emerging could be super common, or it could be a one-time fluke right here on Earth. But let's play what if. Say life does emerge on a planet. Do we just assume intelligent beings pop up and start building spaceships?
Not so fast. That's where phi comes in. The fraction of planets with life where intelligent life evolves. Again, Earth is our only data point.
Right, we don't exactly have a bunch of alien civilizations to compare notes with. Big assumptions here.
Huge. We don't know if intelligence like ours is inevitable or incredibly rare. Maybe most life stays microscopic, or maybe there are other paths to intelligence we haven't even thought of.
So even if life is abundant, intelligence could be the bottleneck. But let's imagine, on some planets, brainy life forms DO evolve. What's the next step?
Communication, that's FBSE, the fraction of intelligent civilizations that develop technology that can send signals we could detect.
Ah, so they're not just thinking deep thoughts, they're broadcasting their presence. Radio waves, lasers, stuff like that. But that assumes they want to communicate and that their tech is something we can even pick up.
Absolutely. Maybe some choose not to broadcast, or maybe their tech is so advanced it just looks like background noise to us.
Kind of humbling to think we could be missing signals because we're not listening the right way.
It's a real possibility. And
Yeah.
even if they do send a signal, there's one last variable to consider. L.
Okay, what's L stand for in this cosmic equation?
The length of time a civilization remains detectable.
So how long they're sending out those signals?
Right. Could be decades, centuries, millions of years. Depends on their technology, if they survive, all sorts of things.
I'm seeing how all these variables, these possibilities are piling up. Each step in the equation adds another layer of what-ifs.
It highlights just how vast and complex this question of are we alone really is.
My head is spinning already. But before we get lost in the vastness, does the Drake equation give us an actual number for how many alien civilizations might be out there?
It can, but that's where things get really interesting. So you were asking if the Drake equation actually gives us a number.
Yeah, like does it spit out, I don't know, even a rough estimate? Or is it more of a thought experiment?
Well, it can give a number, but the thing is that number can be all over the place depending on what you plug in for each variable.
Okay, I'm starting to see the problem. So many unknowns. Even our best guesses for some of those variables could be totally wrong.
Exactly. If you use really optimistic estimates for every variable, like tons of stars forming, loads of habitable planets, life popping up left and right, you might end up with millions of civilizations in our galaxy alone.
Millions. Seriously.
Yeah.
That's wild. But also, probably not very likely, right?
Probably not. But on the flip side, if you go with really pessimistic estimates, you might end up with a number as low as 1, meaning, well, it's just us.
Whoa. Okay, that's the other extreme. A little lonely out here, but kind of awe-inspiring in a weird way.
Yeah.
So, what's a more realistic range then?
Most scientists who work with the Drake equation would probably say somewhere between 10 and 10,000, still a huge range, but narrows it down a bit.
10 to 10,000. Even at the low end, that's mind-blowing. Makes you wonder if there are at least a few others out there, why haven't we found them?
Ah, yes, the Fermi paradox. The numbers suggest there should be plenty of other civilizations, but we see no evidence.
Okay, so we've got this equation that helps us think about the possibilities. But then we hit this paradox where the math hints we shouldn't be alone, yet here we are. It's kind of messing with my brain.
It is a puzzle, for sure, and it sparked a lot of ideas about why we haven't made contact.
All right, let's hear those ideas. What are some theories about why we haven't bumped into our galactic neighbors yet?
Well, one possibility is that interstellar travel is just way harder than we think. The distances between stars are massive, and keeping life sustained across those stretches of space. Even for super advanced civilizations, it might be impossible.
So even if they're out there, they could be stuck on their own planets, just like us. Cosmic cabin fever,
Or maybe they've cracked interstellar travel, but they're choosing to stay hidden.
like a galactic do not disturb sign.
Exactly. Lots of reasons a civilization might avoid contact. Maybe they learned that interacting with less advanced species is messy or dangerous. Or maybe they have a strict don't interfere policy.
I could see that. Plenty of sci-fi movies warn about first contact going wrong. Any other possibilities?
Well, there's the always intriguing zoo hypothesis. The idea that we are being watched, but they're intentionally not making contact. Like we're in a cosmic zoo.
So they're watching our reality TV and judging our fashion choices. I can picture them placing bets on whether we'll make it to the next century.
Who knows? But it does make you think about the ethics of just observing and the impact of contact, even accidental contact.
Okay, these are some wild theories. But what about the signals themselves? We assume they'd use tech, like ours, radio waves and stuff, but maybe they've moved on to something completely different, something we can't even detect.
That's a great point. It's totally possible we're looking for the wrong things. Listen on the wrong frequencies. Maybe their technology is so advanced it just looks like static to us.
It's like that movie Contact, where the signal was hidden in prime numbers. You need a whole new way of thinking to even recognize it.
Precisely. We're constantly challenged to rethink what technology might look like and how we could detect it.
So even with all our searching, we could be missing a whole universe of signals because we haven't figured out how to listen properly yet. Kind of blows my mind.
It really does highlight how much we still have to learn, and the importance of staying open to new possibilities and pushing the boundaries of what we know.
Speaking of pushing boundaries, what about those more far-out ideas? Like, I've heard of scientists searching for Dyson spheres. Sounds like something straight out of sci-fi.
They do sound like science fiction, but the idea is pretty logical. A Dyson sphere is this hypothetical megastructure. Think, a civilization building something to capture the energy of an entire star.
Wait, they're talking about building something that surrounds a whole star. How is that even possible?
It would be an incredible feat of engineering, no doubt. Wouldn't have to be a solid sphere, more like a swarm of satellites or solar panels orbiting the star, collecting its energy.
Okay, I can kind of picture it. But why go through all that trouble?
Energy. As civilizations become more advanced, they need more and more energy. A Dyson sphere lets them tap into a star's power, giving them enough energy for potentially millions of years.
Talk about thinking big. But if these things are so massive, wouldn't we see them?
Theoretically, yes. A Dyson sphere would block some of the star's light, making it look dimmer, and it would give off waste heat as infrared radiation, something we could detect with telescopes.
So we're looking for stars that are acting weird, dimming, or giving off unusual heat.
Exactly. And while we haven't found definitive proof of Dyson spheres yet, it's an exciting area of research that really stretches our imagination and our technological capabilities.
This is all incredible. It makes you realize we might be just scratching the surface of what's out there.
We absolutely are. And that's what makes the search for extraterrestrial life so captivating. It's a constant journey of discovery, challenging our assumptions, and expanding our understanding of the universe.
Okay, so we've talked about why we haven't found aliens yet and some of the amazing things we might be missing. But what if we did find evidence of another civilization? What would that mean for us? How would it change our view of ourselves and our place in the universe?
That's a big question, one we've pondered for ages. And it's one we can really only speculate about until that incredible discovery happens.
But speculation is fun, right? I mean, just thinking about the possibilities is amazing.
It is. And these thought experiments are important. They help us prepare for the unknown and grapple with what such a huge discovery could mean.
So let's explore those what ifs. What do you think would be the biggest impact of finding another intelligent civilization?
I think one of the most immediate impacts would be a total shift in how we see ourselves in the universe. Right now, we kind of assume we're the only intelligent beings around, but finding another civilization would blow that out of the water.
You'd be like realizing, hey, Earth isn't the center of the solar system, or our sun's just one of billions. A big old reality check.
Yeah, exactly. It would force us to rethink our place in the grand scheme of things, to understand that we're part of a much bigger, more complex story than we ever imagine.
Humbling and exciting at the same time. But I imagine there'd be a lot of fear, too. How would we react to the unknown? Would we see them as a threat or as potential friends?
Those are natural reactions. We'd probably experience all sorts of emotions. Wonder, excitement, fear, maybe even a little existential crisis. How we react would depend on a lot of things, like what kind of civilization we find and how they choose to interact with
It's
us.
just like that classic sci-fi dilemma. Reach out and say hi, or stay quiet and hope they don't notice us. Cosmic hide and seek, but with much higher stakes.
It's a decision that would need serious thought, a global conversation about the risks and benefits of making contact. And it would force us to deal with some really big ethical questions.
Like, do we even have the right to speak for all of humanity? And how do we make sure our interactions are respectful and don't lead to misunderstandings or conflict?
Those are just some of the ethical challenges. No easy answers. It would require a new level of cooperation between nations, a willingness to put our differences aside for the good of humanity, and maybe for the good of this new civilization, too.
Lots to think about, but let's focus on the positives for a minute. How could finding another civilization benefit humanity?
Oh, the possibilities are endless. Imagine the scientific breakthroughs we could make by studying their tech, their biology, their culture. It would be like opening a door to a whole new world of knowledge.
Like a renaissance, but on a cosmic scale. New ideas and innovations that could transform everything.
Exactly. And beyond the science, there's also the potential for cultural enrichment. Learning about their art, music, philosophy. It would broaden our perspectives, challenge our assumptions about what it means to be intelligent, to be alive.
Like a giant cosmic exchange program. We learn from each other and grow our understanding of the universe and our place in it. I can only imagine the incredible stories and insights that would come from that.
And who knows, maybe we'll find we're not so different after all. Shared values, shared goals, shared challenges. Maybe we can learn from their mistakes and avoid making them ourselves.
Maybe we can find solutions to problems we've been struggling with forever. Poverty, war, climate change. Maybe they figured out how to live in harmony with their planet and with each other.
Those are some hopeful thoughts. And it's important to remember that finding another civilization doesn't have to mean disaster. It could be the biggest opportunity for growth and progress we've ever had.
It's a good reminder that even when facing the unknown, we should approach the universe with curiosity and optimism, because who knows what incredible things are waiting out there.
Absolutely. And even if we never make contact, just the act of searching, exploring, asking these big questions, it speaks to the human spirit, our endless curiosity.
This has been an amazing deep dive into the Drake equation and the search for extraterrestrial life. We've explored the science, the possibilities, the challenges, and the philosophy behind this huge question. Are we alone?
And while we don't have a definite answer yet, one thing's for sure. The journey itself is full of wonder, mystery, and the potential for mind-blowing discoveries.
So to all our listeners, keep looking up at those stars, keep asking questions, and never stop exploring. And don't forget to follow and subscribe to Cosmos in a Pod and our YouTube channel for more awesome explorations of the universe. Until next time. So we've talked about why we haven't found aliens yet and what kinds of amazing things we might be missing. But what if, just what if, we do find proof of another civilization out there? I mean, what would that mean for us? How would that change how we see ourselves, our place in the universe?
That's the question, isn't it? A question that's been around for, well, forever. And it's a question we can really only guess at until, that day comes when we actually find something.
But guessing, speculating, that's part of the fun. I mean, just thinking about the possibilities is pretty wild.
It is. And I think it's important to think about those what ifs because they can help us, prepare for the unknown, to wrap our heads around what such a huge discovery could mean.
So let's dive into those what ifs. What do you think would be the biggest impact of finding another intelligent civilization out there?
Well, I think right off the bat, it would completely change how we view ourselves in the universe. Right now, we kind of just assume we're the only intelligent beings around. But finding another civilization, that would shatter that view.
It'd be like, back in the day, realizing the Earth isn't the center of everything, or that our sun is just one star among billions, a real wake-up call.
Exactly. It would force us to, reevaluate our place in the grand scheme of things, to realize we're part of something much bigger, much more complex than we ever imagined.
It's kind of scary, but also really exciting at the same time. But I bet there'd be a lot of fear, too, right? How would we react to something so unknown? Would we see them as a threat or as potential friends?
Well, those are all natural reactions. We'd probably feel a whole mix of emotions, wonder, excitement, fear, maybe even a bit of an existential crisis. How we ultimately respond, though, would depend on a lot of things. The nature of the civilization we find, how they choose to interact with us, all that.
It's like that classic sci-fi dilemma.
Yeah.
Do we reach out, say hello? Or do we lay low and hope they don't notice us? It's like a game of cosmic hide and seek, but with much, much higher stakes.
It's a decision that would require some serious thought. We need a global conversation, talking about the risks and benefits of making contact. And it would force us to confront some really big ethical questions.
Yeah, like do we even have the right to speak for everyone on Earth? And how do we make sure we're being respectful, that we don't accidentally start a conflict or something?
Exactly. Those are just some of the ethical challenges. And there are no easy answers. It would require a whole new level of cooperation between countries. We'd have to be willing to put aside our differences for the good of humanity and, maybe even for the good of this new civilization we've found.
It's a lot to process. But let's, for a minute, think about the good stuff. What are some ways finding another civilization could actually benefit us?
Oh man, the possibilities are endless. Think of the scientific advances we could make. Studying their technology, their biology, their culture. It'd be like opening a door to a whole new world of knowledge.
Like I don't know, a cosmic renaissance or something. A burst of new ideas, innovations that can change everything.
Exactly. And beyond the science, think of the cultural exchange. Learning about their art, music, philosophy, it would broaden our horizons, make us challenge our assumptions about, what it means to be intelligent, what it means to be alive.
Like a giant cosmic exchange program. We learn from each other, expand our understanding of the universe and our place in it. I can only imagine the stories and insights that would come out of that.
And who knows, maybe we'd find that we're not so different after all. Maybe we have shared values, shared goals, even shared challenges. We could learn from their mistakes, avoid making the same ones ourselves.
Maybe we could find solutions to problems that have been bugging us forever. Poverty, war, climate change. Maybe they've already figured out how to live in harmony with their planet, with each other.
Now, those are some hopeful thoughts. And it's important to remember, finding another civilization, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It could be the greatest opportunity for growth and progress that humanity has ever had.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that even when we're dealing with the unknown, we should approach the universe with, a sense of wonder and optimism. Because you never know what amazing things are out there waiting to be discovered.
I couldn't agree more. And even if we never actually make contact, the fact that we're searching, exploring, asking these big questions, it says a lot about the human spirit, our endless curiosity.
This has been an incredible deep dive into the Drake equation and the search for extraterrestrial life. We've talked about the science, the possibilities, the challenges, and the really big questions about whether or not we're alone in this vast universe.
And while we might not have a clear answer just yet, one thing is certain: The journey itself is full of wonder, mystery, and the potential for some truly mind-blowing discoveries.
So, to all our listeners out there, keep looking up at the stars, keep those questions coming, and never stop exploring the wonders of the universe. And hey, don't forget to follow and subscribe to Cosmos in a Pod and our YouTube channel for more awesome explorations of the cosmos. Until next time.